Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. The night sky over Gaza erupted in flames. In a shocking and powerful retaliation, Hamas has launched more than 400 rockets toward Israel, striking at least 200 Israeli military posts. What began as a sudden barrage has now escalated into one of the most intense nights of warfare in recent memory, a clear message that the conflict in the Middle East has entered a new, dangerous phase. Just before midnight, sirens screamed across southern and central Israel. Cities like Ashkelon, Sderot, and Beersheba went dark as residents rushed into shelters. Within minutes, the Iron Dome defense system was overwhelmed. Streaks of light shot through the sky as interceptor missiles tried desperately to neutralize the storm of rockets raining down from Gaza. But not all were stopped. Several missiles broke through, slamming into military installations and igniting massive explosions visible for miles. According to Hamas, the attack was a direct retaliation for recent Israeli airstrikes that killed multiple field commanders and flattened key communication hubs across Gaza. A spokesperson declared, "This is only the beginning. Every strike on our people will be answered with fire." Their message was clear. Hamas was not retreating, it was striking back with force. On the Israeli side, chaos and fury erupted. The Israel Defense Forces confirmed over 200 outposts and observation towers were either damaged or destroyed. The IDF called it one of the largest and most coordinated attacks launched from Gaza in years. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who, visibly shaken during a late-night press conference, declared, "We are at war. Hamas will pay a price like never before." Moments later, Israeli fighter jets roared into Gaza's airspace, unleashing retaliatory airstrikes that turned parts of Gaza City into blazing infernos. As the smoke rose, the devastation was clear. Residential blocks near suspected rocket launch sites were reduced to rubble. Ambulances screamed through the streets, carrying the wounded. In hospitals across Gaza, doctors worked around the clock amid shortages of power, medicine, and clean water. Civilians once again were paying the heaviest price. Meanwhile, on the ground in Israel, soldiers scrambled to contain fires and assess damage to bases near the border. Several surveillance towers were hit directly, cutting off communication lines. The IDF released footage showing counterstrikes on what it described as terrorist infrastructure. But many of those locations were near populated areas, sparking fears of further civilian casualties. International reaction was immediate and divided. The United States condemned Hamas's rocket attacks, calling them indiscriminate acts of terror. But other nations, including Turkey, Iran, and Qatar, placed blame squarely on Israel's military operations in Gaza, accusing it of provoking the escalation. Egypt and the United Nations quickly stepped in, urging both sides to halt the violence before it spirals into a full-scale regional war. By morning, the toll was staggering: dozens dead, hundreds injured, and entire neighborhoods reduced to ashes. Videos circulating online showed parents carrying children through debris, soldiers shouting amid chaos, and explosions lighting up the horizon. Social media was flooded with hashtags like #Gaza under attack and #Israel under fire as millions around the world reacted in disbelief. Security analysts say Hamas's ability to coordinate and launch 400 rockets in one wave indicates a dramatic leap in its arsenal and command structure. Reports suggest new, longer-range missiles capable of reaching deep inside Israeli territory, possibly supplied by external allies, were used. Israel's Iron Dome intercepted many, but the sheer volume overwhelmed even its advanced systems. As day broke, Israel expanded its air operations, hitting dozens of sites across Gaza, including suspected launch pads, tunnels, and weapons depots. Entire districts lost power as fuel depots and substations went up in flames. The Israeli military warned residents to stay indoors as it prepared for what it called an extended campaign. Inside Gaza, the atmosphere was one of both fear and defiance. Thousands of families fled their homes, seeking shelter in schools and mosques. Yet, amid the destruction, voices of resistance echoed. "We will not kneel." One young man told reporters, "They have the planes, we have our faith." His words spread quickly across social media, becoming a symbol of Gaza's resilience under fire. In Tel Aviv, anxiety spread as the sound of explosions carried through the night. Emergency services were stretched thin, responding to fires and collapsed structures. The Israeli government ordered the closure of schools and public gatherings, while reservists were called up in preparation for a possible ground operation. Diplomatic efforts intensified as the world watched on edge. Egypt's intelligence service reportedly contacted both sides in an attempt to broker an urgent ceasefire. Qatar and the United Nations followed suit, but with both Israel and Hamas hardening their positions, peace seemed distant. A UN spokesperson described the situation as a ticking time bomb for the region. Meanwhile, humanitarian organizations warned of disaster. Gaza's hospitals were running on limited power, medical supplies were running out, and communications were breaking down. In Israel, life was also disrupted, thousands displaced, public transport halted, and air travel diverted. The Middle East now stands on a razor's edge. Experts warn that if the violence continues at this pace, other regional actors such as Hezbollah in Lebanon or militias in Syria might join the fray, potentially igniting a multi-front conflict. Israel has already reinforced its northern borders as a precaution. Behind the military reports and political statements, the human cost continues to rise. Families in both Gaza and Israel mourn their loved ones. Children wake up to the sound of explosions instead of school bells. The world is witnessing, once again, the cycle of destruction that seems impossible to break. By evening, Israeli jets continued pounding targets, while Hamas announced yet another wave of rocket launches. "This is a fight for our survival," one Hamas commander declared in a recorded statement. Israel's response was swift, and brutal precision strikes lit up the night sky once again. The region was engulfed in flames, and fear spread faster than the news itself. The international community is desperate to intervene, but solutions are elusive. Past ceasefires have failed repeatedly, and trust between both sides has completely collapsed. As one analyst put it, each missile fired is another bridge burned between peace and war. As the world watches, one question looms large. How much further can this go before it spirals into total war? Israel vows retribution. Hamas promises resistance. Between them lie millions of innocent civilians trapped in the middle of a battle neither side seems willing to end. In the streets of Gaza, amid smoke and rubble, a child looks up as jets roar overhead. In Israel, families huddle in bomb shelters, waiting for the next siren. These parallel realities, fear, anger, loss, continue to define a region torn by decades of conflict. Tonight, as rockets continue to fly and bombs continue to fall, the Middle East once again stands at the edge of chaos. What happens next will not only shape the future of Gaza and Israel, but could define the balance of power across the entire region. This story is still unfolding, and the world is watching every moment. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.